Welcome to Voldis Abyss Dungeon Gate 4 guide video. This dungeon does not have difference between normal mode and hard mode. Gate 4 is not weak against any elements, so you just run Light of Salvation card set. The type is Ancient type, but currently there's no additional damage for Ancient from the card books. Battle items: Whirlwind Grenade, Destruction Bomb, and for the last one, most likely Atropine or Stimulant. Major gimmicks: around 160 HP, the boss moves to the center. All the players have to go to ×3 position. Then the boss will do pizza pattern to the players. This pizza pattern happens 3 times. The first to attack uses dodge by moving sideways. The third one is important. You can see there's a door on each side. All the players have to land the third pizza on the door. If you do, then you can see a stack increase above the door. By the way, if you get hit by the pizza, then you will receive massive damage with attack reduction debuff for a long time. Also, watch out for the yellow telegraph pattern that happens with the third pizza. You just have to dodge the third pizza after the aim is locked. This is one set of the gimmick. You have to do 2 more sets on other doors by going clockwise to increase the stacks of the door up to 3. Now the second set of the attack is going on. Dodge the first 2 pizza, and then land the third one on the next door, and then go clockwise again and do the same thing. If all the players landed the pizza correctly, then all 4 doors should have 3 stacks, and the door will be staggered. Okay, so let me tell you what's up with these doors. If you fail making 3 stacks, then that door will not be staggered and eventually destroy that part of the field. If that happens, people can fall to that place by any knockout patterns from the boss. So if you want the raid to go smooth, you want to succeed all the doors. After finishing the third set, the boss requires stagger check. At the same time, you will see 4 more doors on ×3+1 directions. These doors will also require stagger check. If you fail the stagger on the boss, then that's a raid wipe. If you fail the stagger on the door, then that part of the field will be destroyed. The problem is, the stagger check of the door is really tight for one person. So normally you split 2 people each to the 5 and 7 o'clock side. Make sure to throw Whirlwind during the stagger. If you succeed, then you can save the bottom tiles, but the 11 and 1 o'clock tiles will be destroyed. This is the best scenario that you want to aim for. There are so many things to explain in between the frames, so it might have not been intuitive. So let me show you how the entire gimmick goes and then move on to the next gimmick. By the way, when the boss gets staggered during the raid, then you can check his destruction. If you succeed the destruction, then he will generate an orb that chases the nearest player. That person has to aggro the orb to one of the broken tiles. If the orb lands on the tile, then it revives the tile and it becomes a safe zone. If the tile is red, then it's broken. If it becomes purple, it's safe. Other non-broken tiles are safe as well. Also, there are some normal patterns that destroy the tiles as well, which I will cover later. Around 110 HP, the boss moves to the center and summons 8 doors while requesting stagger check. The stagger check will not work properly yet. He will try to poke a random door one by one. When he pokes, you have to look carefully because he can actually poke the door, or he can just pretend poking. Regardless of real or fake poking, that side of the door will show counter. You have to counter the real poked one and not counter the fake ones. If you succeed the counter, then it will give a stack of stagger buff to the party. By succeeding the counters, you get multiple stacks, and that's how you stagger the boss and resolve the gimmick. If you fail the stagger, then that's a raid wipe. The door that he took action will consistently show counter, and you have to counter that door all the time if it's the real one. The boss will keep on taking action on all 8 doors one by one. and you have to counter those doors if he poked. If you fail the real ones, or if you accidentally counter the fake ones, then that door will do AoE damage to all the players and reset the stagger buff, which is really bad. So how do you arrange the order of the counters? Party number 1 takes the first and second door. Number 2 takes the third and fourth. Number 3 takes 5th and 6th. And lastly, number 4 takes 7th and 8th. This is called 1-1-2-2-3-3-4-4 tactic. With all that being said, you might not understand what's going on since this is kinda complicated. Let me cover it again by showing this raid scene. The first poke is on 11 o'clock and it's fake, so number 1 doesn't counter. The second poke is on 5 o'clock and it's real, so number 1 should counter. The third one is on 12 o'clock and it's real, so number 2 should counter. The fourth one is on 3 o'clock and it's real, so number 2 should counter. And also, as I said, the doors that took action will consistently require counter. Remember that 5 o'clock was real, so that direction consistently needs to be countered. So number 1 who is responsible for this position will keep on countering. Try to look on other players as well how they keep up with their counters. 9 o'clock is real, so number 3 should counter. 6 o'clock is real, so number 3 should counter. 1 o'clock is real, so number 4 should counter. 7 o'clock is fake, so don't counter. You can see that his stagger bar is already low because in between the counters, there is short time to stagger him. When your position requires counter, then go and counter. After that, until the next counter, you can stagger him as much as possible. When you're not used to multitasking like this, then it's still fine. Just focus on your counter positions, and you do not have to stagger consistently since the stacks of stagger buff that your party gets by succeeding all the counters will allow you to stagger at once. By the way, the reason why you don't just put people at ×3 and ×3+1 position is because sometimes 2 doors on that side can require counter at the same time, and one person handling that is difficult like in this case. 3 and 5 o'clock is requesting counter at the same time. This is why you do the tactic I mentioned before. Around 60 HP, the boss moves to the center. All the players have to immediately move to ×3 position. You will see a door that is destructible on each side. The destruction rate of this door is 3, so all the players just throw destruction bomb, and this will give stagger buff to all the players. Then you have to stagger the boss. If all the players destroyed their doors, then they will get 4 stacks of stagger buff, which is enough to stagger the boss. If even one door didn't get destroyed, then the stagger check becomes really tight and you will most likely fail the stagger. When that happens, it's a raid wipe. If you succeed the stagger, then he will drop the sword in front of him, which requires destruction check as well. The destruction rate is low, so if all the players use at least one destruction skill, then it will be destroyed. If you fail the destruction, it's also a raid wipe. Then one person will be connected to a line. Normally, among the DPSs, the weakest player takes the line by rubbing the character on the person who has the line. You will see the reason why later. Then the boss does AoE attacks for 3 times. After dodging the second attack, one of the other DPS who doesn't have the line should stay in front of the boss. The boss will grab that player and he will throw the player after a few seconds. You can see 4 doors on each side. The player who had the line can aggro the boss. The goal is to aggro the boss to any of the doors and make him throw the grabbed player to the door. The line player should dodge when the boss tries to throw since it does damage on the path. When the player is thrown, then he will be in another field with a random guardian. The guardian can be either Virtus, Regoros, or Caventus. You will also see a timer around the field. You must kill the guardian before the time runs out. Up to 3 people can join to kill this guardian, because the boss grabs the player up to 3 times. While the first player is having combat with the guardian, the boss will grab the second player. Normally for the second player, you want the supporter to go in, so the supporter gets grabbed in front of the boss. The line player aggroes the boss to one of the other doors since the door disappears when it's used. And lastly, the third player gets grabbed in the same way. so 3 players will have to kill the Guardian in time, and that's why it's better for the weakest player to get the line. Until the Guardian dies, the line player can just walk around dodging the patterns from the boss. If no one gets grabbed, then the boss does massive damage to the players that can kill them, and depending on whether there were people on the Guardian side or not, the result differs. If there were no one on the Guardian side, then the boss restores his HP to 80 bars, so you have to do the entire gimmick that happens at 60 HP again. If there were people on the Guardian side, then you have to kill the Guardian in time with only those players. If you fail killing the Guardian, then people who are with the Guardian will die. This is not the end of the gimmick. After the Guardian dies, players will get a Stagger buff, and the boss will rotate with cone range. When he stops, he will try to grab that area. The person who has the weakest Stagger should get grabbed. Then there is a Stagger check, and the other 3 players must stagger him. The time is pretty tight for this one, so all 3 should throw Whirlwind and stagger hard. If the stagger succeeds, that's the end of the entire gimmick. If you fail to get grabbed, or if the stagger fails, that's a raid wipe. He normally locks the grabbing direction to the left side, so the person who's getting grabbed should chill around there. Since a lot of stuff are going on in one gimmick, let me show you the full moment and then move on.
라자람의 근원에는 그가 취한 가디언들의 힘이 있어. 그것을 제거해야 해.
Around 40 HP, the boss moves to the center and you will see doors on ×3 direction that requires stagger check. If you succeed the stagger, then that tile gets saved. If not, then it gets destroyed. Normally what people do is that they hard DPS on the boss to do a lot of damage since this is a free DPS time. And also, the boss doesn't have much HP left, so falling by getting knocked out to the destroyed tile is not that concerning. You can stagger some of the doors if you want to do it safer. After this moment, his patterns get enhanced, and periodically he does undodgeable AoE attack that hits everyone. This attack actually hurts a lot if there's no shield from the supporter. The supporter have to focus on shielding and healing until the boss dies. If you take him down to 0, then that's the end of the raid. Okay then, let me cover the important normal patterns. Door combo attacks. Periodically, the boss will summon the doors. The doors combo attack with the boss. These attacks show yellow telegraph and it can knock out the players to the broken tile. When the doors move, you always have to stop the DPS and see what's going on. Scuffed pattern. The boss moves to the center and becomes invincible. He will then AoE attack and charges to a random direction which grabs all the players in the path. He does this 3 times in a row. After the 3rd charge, 4 clones will spawn on each side, and only 1 real one will request counter. You have to counter the correct one to save the grabbed players. Simple way to know which one is real in advance is by looking at the minimap and see where the grabbed players are. Giant Orb. The boss teleports to the side and tries to push a giant orb to the portal. You have to DPS the orb before it reaches the portal. If you kill the orb, then it will stagger the boss and you will have free DPS time. If the orb goes into the portal, then it will do massive damage to all the players, which will most likely kill them. Spread and Gather. The boss applies 2 rectangles on 2 players, one by one. You have to memorize who got the second rectangle. The rectangle generates puddles on the floor which hurt, so these 2 should keep moving around. Soon, the boss will jump on a player, and after a second, a safe zone spawns on the player who had the second rectangle. To secure the safe zone properly, you want to spread and then gather and move slightly away from the red telegraph where the boss lands. Spread the cone. The boss applies cone on all players. All the players have to spread as far as they can or overlap each other since the cone does wide range of AoE attack on the opposite side. This attack does massive damage and it can knock out the players to the broken tile. So placing it wrong can kill your teammates. The cone always directs the backside of the character, so you want to look at the edge to make the safe zone on the inner side. Purple Orb. Periodically, a purple aura happens in the center which generates a purple orb. One player has to spacebar to the orb and take it. If no one takes it, then the orb will destroy near tiles. The reason why you spacebar through is because you will get imprisoned if you just walk and take it. Guardian Tomb from the Bard can also prevent the imprison. Small counter pattern. The boss shows a red cone telegraph which is able to be countered. If someone gets hit by it, then he will grab that player and throw it into a random direction which can kill the player by falling. Big counter pattern. The boss shows big cones on his front and back which is able to be countered. You must succeed this counter since if you fail, then it will destroy all the tiles those cones cover. This pattern does not have inner cooldown for the counter by the way. Grab. The boss points a player and dashes. This grabs all the players in the path. If someone's grabbed, then he Wi-Fi attacks on the backside. If no one is caught, then he shoots a blade to the ground which is inside safe. Soar and Pound. The boss soars for a moment with a circle below. At least one player has to be in the circle range, and then move out when he tries to pound, and then come back to the inner side. If this is not properly done, then he combos to a stronger pattern. Back tumbling. The boss slashes the front 2 times and then tumbles back. The tumble hits the front and back part, so move to the side. Spin. The boss puts the sword on the ground and spins. Dodge all the AoE attacks and at least one player has to be grabbed. Other players go to the safe zone that spawns on a random player. Person who got grabbed will do typing minigame. If the typing succeeds, then he will get staggered for a short time. If no one is grabbed, then he will shoot a laser to a player after the safe zone ends. That laser can make you fall. Air Show. The boss flies away and air strikes for 2 times. Just dodge the pattern. Pounding 3 times. The boss pounds the ground 3 times which does AoE attack on the front. The aggro changes upon each attacks. Pizza. The boss does a pizza pattern that aggroes the players. It's better for the players to overlap and then dash out when it gets locked. If a player gets hit by it, then he will get imprisoned. Also, the attacks that happen afterwards will also imprison the players. Watch out the floor and free the players who got imprisoned. Donut and Poke. The boss draws a donut and starts to spin. All the players should be in the inner side and rotate with him, finding his back, because he will poke the front multiple times, and if a player gets hit by it, then he gets grabbed and thrown, which can make him fall. Ball drops. The boss drops the balls to the players. Just dodge around until the pattern ends. Spit. The boss spits on the front side. Just don't be on the front when his face glows red. Hypersonic. The boss aims a player and rapidly dashes forward, making remnant of blade on the path. Don't be on his front and the path. Well guys, that's all for today. Thanks for watching and hit the sub if you liked it. Then see you guys on the next video. Stay Giga Chad.